Hello, Internet. Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our latest episode of The Amazing Race. Amazing Race Season 34, Episode 10. Actually, it's 9 and 10 as we're going to talk about the Mega Leg. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. And we'll dive on in here. Obviously, we'll have our Survivor coverage as well for Episode 10 of Survivor. And we will go from there. Obviously, Jessica's going to be joining us for this one. And then we'll have the Survivor one coming out here shortly for Episode 10 as well. So I'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. And I'll go ahead and bring in Jessica. Jessica, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. That sounded kind of sarcastic, but that's okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, we wanted to get the Survivor one done here soon, too. I'll probably just do that one, just one more with just me, and then we'll get back to Jessica being on them for the most part. So once we get back to a normal week, this upcoming week. So Amazing Race was on a couple days ago. We just got done watching it. You want to go ahead and start off with what are your initial thoughts?
It was a good couple of legs. It's fun to see Spain. The activities that they did, definitely seeing a shift in who's, succeeding and who's falling behind compared to the first, half of the season, which is usually what happens. But turn of events for some teams, I'm surprised. Maybe one I'm surprised about.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. One team I just hate that their storylines become about their injury. They were really fun, and they're talking about all the different places they got to go, and all the fun things they got to do, and get to learn more about each other and everything like that. And now the whole storyline is just the injury. And it's just like, we get it. And it's not their fault. It's not how it's it's just being edited that way, unfortunately.
Well, because it's just showing that they're overcoming the injury usually most weeks.
That's true. Yeah, for sure.
That's why.
Cool. Well, obviously another double episode through Spain, and we'll talk about it here as we dive in.
Dive on it.
All right. Let's go ahead and take it away, Jessica.
So first leg was in the south of Spain. We'll start off with the roadblock for that episode. So who would be the master of pieces? They had to put pieces of a painting together from Picasso. When they're reading the clue, I didn't know what to expect, but it was actually like a life-size painting, and it was slides that they had to put in the correct order so that the painting looked like the Picasso painting. If they had it, the layers wrong, that they had to fix it and put them back together in that specific order. Everybody struggled with that. I don't think anybody got that right away. At least took a couple tries, but that was interesting. I don't know how I would have done with that myself either.
Yeah, for sure. The good news is only like 6 options. Because there's only 6 slides, so eventually you think you get it, but also you can have backwards or sideways or whatever
it
too.
Flipped back, yeah. They had them flipped the wrong way, facing the wrong way, upside down, all that stuff. Sure. But I don't know how to tell, I guess, what layer would have to go first. That was the hard part.
For sure. Yeah. For sure, yeah. Because you can see it one way and it looks right, but then technically it's the ones in the wrong. It should be second or should be third or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah. Alrighty, move on to the detour. So the first one was...
What's next?
Moving on to the detours. So they had to ride their bikes to a place called the Cube to get their next clues for the detour. And they were either Fish Fry or Sailboat Supply. Mm-hmm. Fish Fry, they had to spear fish and grill them over an open flame. They had to do it, I think it was 6 to a spear, had to cook so many, and then they had to pass that. Or Sailboat Supply, they had to take a cooler full of ice and life vests on a paddleboard to a sailboat out in the water. Everybody picked Fish Fry except for Team Miami, who picked Sailboat Supply. Out of the two, I would think that Fish Fry was easier, as long as you're not squeamish, and so many people were, that they did not want to touch and spear the fish. I get it, it's food, but that's fine. Most got that pretty quickly, but some teams struggled, and some I didn't think it was going to happen where they wouldn't pass because they didn't cook their fish long enough, but that did happen. And they had to remember to salt the fish too. Some teams forgot that, but Derek and Claire and Aubrey and Dave were helping each other, so they were reminded to do that. Mm-hmm. And then Sailboat Supply, Team Miami, with the cooler. They can only lose so much ice. They said, it was kind of wavy. They did pretty well with it, though. I thought that was going to be a lot harder than it ended up being for them. But, they said they had just been practicing paddleboarding before they went onto the show. So that was exciting to use the skill that they practiced.
Yep, and they're from Miami, so I'm sure
Right.
they can, obviously they have been practicing, but I'm sure, it's something they do.
Yeah, well, plus it's a blow-up paddleboard, too, so it's not like it's that hefty or anything.
Right.
But, it was cool that teams did each task, so you got to see both.
For sure.
Which task would you have done?
I'm not physically strong enough to do the paddleboard one. It would take me forever, and whatever. I've been exhausted, so I would definitely have done the fishing one.
Would you have been grossed out by spearing the fish? Okay.
No.
That's fine. I was going to say when we were watching it, I used to eat fish like that. I don't know what fish it was. My dad would go smelt dipping, which they're little fish that size, and then you just fry the whole fish and you eat them. It's interesting. They were good. Yeah. Alrighty.
So you're an expert. You could do it in a second then without trying.
I could have.
You've eaten those fish before.
Because I cook.
Yeah.
Because I am a chef. I've never cooked that way before, but I have made kebabs.
Oh, yeah.
I probably can make fish fine.
Sure.
I use a lot of seasoning. I can make any of the food stuff. I can make cheese. Who can't make cheese?
Yeah, if you eat cheese, you can definitely make it.
Yeah, of course I can. Anyways, so we'll move on to leg 2. That one happened in Ronda, Spain, which was the home, I think they said, of Hemingway and Orson Welles.
Well, they weren't their home.
Or not home, but it was like a dedication to them there. Yeah. Right. So this one was starting off with the detour there. It was bend over backwards or dress for success. Bend over backwards, they basically had to build an arch. I was like halfway built. They had to build the remaining arch, put the rocks and bricks together so that when the mold was taken out that it would stay and it wouldn't fall apart. Marcus and Michael were the only team to do that, and they were pretty successful. Dress for success was they had to go watch a flamingo dancer dance and pay attention to their accessories, find all the accessories, and then dress up the flamingo dancers that were waiting, for them to do that. I thought it was funny because Aubrey said, well, I was a dancer for a long time and wore costumes, so of course this will be easy, but, it's fine. It's attention to detail stuff, so, that's the more important part. Anybody that can pay attention to it can be successful. And then all the other teams did that one, and most did pretty well. Some took a couple tries, and, they had stuff to confuse you that looked similar to the other stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't realize they have to walk across the street to the store to pick the stuff up.
Yeah, it wasn't just there.
Yeah.
I had to go shop for it.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of stuff that looked similar and everything like that. So I didn't really know how that was going to work. It really didn't seem like explained at the very beginning.
Right.
And then obviously I think the thing that actually took the longest was Team Miami, but they had a decent sized lead, so it really didn't matter.
I think so, yeah, because they couldn't figure out the ones that were wrong still. Yeah. But it was fun. That wasn't too bad. I definitely would have picked that one because the building one seemed like that sucked.
But again, it's whatever your strength. I think that Marcus and Michael, I think they did a good job. I think they hit the right task for them.
But they are so good at attention details, though, because they did the one where they did the fashion models, and they got that quickly. So, I don't know.
I think that's more Marcus, though, than Michael. There's more Michael than Marcus, though.
It might be. I mean, we don't know the time difference between everybody, too, so that was hard to gauge with everything, with all of that.
Definitely.
So after the detour, we're moving on to the roadblock. Who's been paying attention? I would have not done this one. You would have done this one.
I would have done it. I wouldn't have liked it if I would have done it.
I maybe could have done it, but they had to walk across basically a typewriter, a tight rope across a gorge and pick out the Andalusian flag on one of the clues. So there was about 4 of them there, 5 of them there, and they had to pick the right one, walk all the way back across on the tight rope. Can't speak. And if they got the right one and opened it up, it said correct, and it gave them their clue. If it was wrong, they would have had to walk across, go back, and get another one. Every team got it on the first try. Most were freaking the F out. We saw, Aubrey and Claire panicking. And thankfully they got it on the first try and didn't have to do it again.
Yeah, some of them weren't sure, but most of them eventually came to the right answer.
Well, everybody's confused, but I feel like you would have had it somewhere in your day that's why they would be quizzing you on it. They wouldn't just do some random flag that you didn't see at all.
Right.
And
for
like
sure.
if you paid attention to the flag with the tour guide in the beginning, then obviously that was the right one to get.
Yeah, right when they first got to the town, they had to find a tour guide who's holding the flag
Right.
of the town.
And it said flag. Like look for the tour guide with the flag.
Yeah, and then
So remember the
obviously,
flag.
yeah, and that's really important. And I think Michelle's the one who like knew right away where it was. Boom, got it done.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the other ones were like, oh, it might be this one, might be this one, and they kind of
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit, but they all eventually got it right, which was nice.
Yep, exactly. All right, so moving on to who got eliminated.
Yeah. So the mega leg was tough, and one team fell really far behind on the first detour, the first roadblock.
Yeah.
And they had a really difficult time with it, and they just really couldn't catch up.
Right.
And who got eliminated, Jessica?
Eminem,
Yeah.
Marcus and Michael.
Yeah, they were our number one for a while, and
slowly fell down the rankings.
slowly fell down, and he said Michael felt really bad. They asked him or Marcus, I keep getting confused. Marcus, they asked Marcus what how he felt like, the race went. He says, I feel like I took $500,000 from my brother.
Yeah.
Because he messed it up. But I mean, they both had tasks that they messed up. I mean, they both had stuff that wasn't good, and ultimately, they were a solid team. They were, lucky teams. They asked the three teams left, who do you want us to get eliminated? Molly and Emily or Michael and Marcus, and they said, Michael and Marcus get eliminated because they're really strong.
Yeah.
And it's true, they were really strong. They did a really good job, and it was just really, it's the most evenly matched Final Five I've probably ever seen in the race.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, like, all the seasons I've watched, it was probably the most evenly matched Final Five, and that's huge. I mean, it's so tough when you're a good team, and there's just everybody else is good. Like you said, seasons past, Michael and Marcus would have not done great this week, but still have made it because there's still 2-3 teams behind that weren't good.
Right.
In this case, you really had to run a really good leg, and if you didn't, you were done. And it's the biggest thing though, as always, is attention to detail. It's one of the biggest things, and it was like the silliest thing. He had Michael Marcus had it right the whole time. He kept changing it, but it was right except the last one.
Yeah, it was the back panel.
Back panel. He had it upside down or backwards, whatever the hell it was.
Upside down.
Upside down, and like it didn't even seem like it was really. You could even tell which way was right upside up, or was wrong. But he's like, "Oh, something's wrong. I gotta fix it." And instead of taking a minute and thinking about it and looking at it and say, "Okay, this looks perfect. What is wrong?"
Yeah.
And then realizing, "Oh wait, there's another one I slid in that I didn't even pay attention to because it just seemed like it was easy." And that was the one that did him. He switched them around so many times, probably dozens of times. And it was right every time except for one panel, which was upside down. And it was hard to even tell.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, they were a really strong team that did a lot of the tasks well. That one little detail messed them up.
Yeah. It started kind of falling apart towards the end, and like you said, it was would it be Michael? He did the one rappelling down the castle, and then he left all his stuff up at the top that he had to go back and get it. So they both made mistakes that cost them time and got them to that place. So it wasn't just one or the other.
No, they had a lot of things where they were very much, I said, and when they focused on, they were really good attention to detail. But the problem was for them, I think, the biggest hang up for them was a lot of times they just wanted to go and do stuff and complete tasks rather than taking a step back and saying, okay, what's the best task? What is, and sometimes a lot of times they didn't really pick the best task for them. I think this time they did, but they're already so far behind that it didn't matter. But a lot of times they're just like they pick the wrong one or they don't think about what's the most efficient way to do this. They start doing it, and that costs them time in a lot of cases, and little missteps like that, little mistakes cost you big, and unfortunately for them, it cost them the race.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's too bad. I really like them.
Yeah, I said I liked all the last teams that have been here, and I really don't know who's going to win it. So we'll see.
I think our power rankings are right, but but again, who the heck knows? Because I think there's 5 really good teams in the final 5. So I could have seen it going either way.
Yeah, for sure.
So that being said, I think there's one team that won't win. I think there's two teams that have a good shot. And I think one is gonna have the best shot, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's go and move on to the power rankings. Final 4, Jessica.
Number 4
is
Molly and Emily, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I mean, with her injury, that's kept them behind, and I don't even feel like it's that at this point. They have been getting so confused every episode. They're saying they're not sure where they're going. Is it here? They're passing exits. You know, in the beginning, they did so much better with navigation and attention to detail of everything, and it just kind of slipped more and more, and I'm sure her injury, you know, throbbing pain and stuff, and I know knee pain, and it sucks. That is distracting. So that hasn't been helpful for them, but unfortunately they've dropped down to 4.
And they, and
I don't think they have that great of a chance to win.
I don't either. Unfortunately, I said I didn't really think they did to start the thing, but then as they got into the race, they started doing really well. I'm like, wow, maybe they do. And now I feel like they're coming back kind of down towards the more. I think they're maybe they're top 5 team in the race this season. But I don't think they're the top 1 team in the race. And like you said, attention to detail, and a lot of times they have to slow down, stop, wait, which is what it is. It's going to take time. It's going to slow down. But if that's the case, who's Emily's Emily.
Exactly.
Emily, I think what Molly should do is when she knows Emily can't go fast, take the time and double check things. Because you're taking your time anyways. You're going slower than you want to go. Take the time, make sure it's right so you don't make mistakes. Because Emily's hurting, and if you can take advantage of the time we have to be slower, that could help.
Yeah.
But like you said too, it's attention to detail, and I will say this: it's an edited show, as we know, so they may have been making mistakes the whole time, but it's not part of the storyline because they're ahead. They're making up for the team. There's the team who's 8th and 9th and 10th are doing really bad, and they're all making mistakes. And the other team is doing bad in the challenges, and Emily and Molly are making mistakes too, but they're doing better. They're doing better in the challenges, so it's not part of the story because it's not a thing that's it's not relevant to what happens. So they could have been making mistakes the whole time. We don't know. Now that it's a smaller group, there's only a certain number of teams left. Everything is magnified, and everybody gets more airtime. So the mistakes are amplified too.
I don't know, because I feel like they would have showed something, because most of the time when they did show the stuff in the beginning, though, like, they were showing, like, oh, yes, we got it right away, like, oh, we're going the right way, all this stuff. I don't think they would have showed that if it was that bad in the beginning.
No, you're probably right.
Plus, they did maybe better on a lot of the tasks towards the beginning. They were getting things done, like, right away.
And like you said, when you're hurting with a knee injury or whatever, it takes a lot more of you physically than, like, even just your leg. Like, because it's like when you're trying to push a wagon with a broken wheel. You're better off not even having the other wheels on. You know what I mean? Because your other ones are compensating more. It's more strenuous to play a sport on an injured leg than it is to play a sport with an injured arm or whatever. Because it's just the leg takes, like you say, they say in a boxing match, if you take away their ability to their legs, even though they're punching with their arms, you take away their legs, they get weak and they get slow, and that's just how it is. And everything else suffers because you don't have a good foundation, and that could really be a thing. Just very draining and making mental mistakes too now.
Yeah, I know that feeling about having to run across the city trying to see a show and your knees throbbing. You feel like you tear something. It sucks.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, no, you don't. I do. It hurts.
Understood.
Yes.
So that's why I said I feel bad for them. I would have much rather them be able to just enjoy the race and not have to worry about all the stuff.
Yeah,
but
enjoy their time together.
It's certainly an uphill battle for them, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, no, for sure. Moving on to team number 3.
Yeah, team number 3.
Aubrey and David.
Yeah, and why them?
I'm shocked that they're still here. They've gotten better every episode, starting probably midway. Their attention to detail is good, but they've also been working with Derek and Claire, so that's been helpful to them too.
Yeah, and they help Derek and Claire. Derek and Claire help them, and they help Derek and Claire. So it is what it is. But I also think it's another thing where if Derek and Claire wanted to cut them off, they could, and David would be in more trouble.
I think so. Yeah.
They are good with attention to detail and everything like that. Like I said, the dancing and the dress up with the costumes, all that stuff, they did really well. So the tasks, some of them they do really well, but overall, I am definitely surprised they're here too. They're my winner pick, so I'm happy for them. But they're definitely, I'm definitely surprised that they're here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they still get lost in everything too, and they work together with Derek and Claire. And I know they help with the flamingo dancer, but then they should have gotten to the next task before them, and they still met up and all got to the next, the detour together, or roadblock together. So it's like, I think if they get cut off, they might struggle more.
For sure. I agree. So we'll see who makes it to the top 3. I think they'll all make the top 3, and that's going to matter. Again, once you're there, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think they're the 3rd best team. I think they're actually the 4th best team if everybody's healthy.
Right. Exactly. I wouldn't have Molly and Emily at the end if they're healthy, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Team number 2?
We know things about having injured teams as well. So we know a thing or two about having injured teams.
Yeah, let's not go there. Von Miller is not coming back anytime soon, so go Bills, question mark. I mean, go Bills, but it's heartbreaking.
Go Bills, ... exclamation point.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, anyways.
Team,
who is number 2?
Number 2 is Derek and Claire.
Yeah, Derek and Claire. Why them?
I mean, they've been doing well. They've made their mistakes, but for the most part, they're able to pull things back together and keep going. They've definitely gotten lost a bunch. They should have been first this episode, and they got their 3rd, I think. So once they get lost, it takes them a little bit to get back, but they still managed to finish 3rd.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. They're an interesting one because they're really not. They haven't really excelled at anything. Like they haven't really crushed the challenges. They've gotten lost a few times. It just seems like no matter what, they always seem to find the way to the top.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's like I said, they haven't completely bombed any of the tasks. They haven't crushed any of the tasks. They haven't been terrible drivers. They haven't been great drivers. They've been very middle of the pack. But for some reason, they just keep floating to the top. And I really don't know why. But they're definitely, of the teams left, I'd say they're the second strongest team left. They, for the most part, are similar, have similar skill sets. I mean, that's the only reason that they're not crushing it, not number 1. It's because I think their skill sets are a little bit similar. But they also do have some. They're doing a good job. I mean, they're here, and they could, if they won. If I heard they won the race, that wouldn't surprise me. Not necessarily the number 1 team I'm rooting for, but I'd be okay. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, how'd they win? It would make sense.
No, I know. Not that they're my number 1 to win, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It would make sense. They would have earned it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What is next?
Team number 1, numero uno, Team Miami.
Your winner
My winner picks, because they've been freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They've been fun to watch. They've been coming out more out of their shells. I loved when, gosh, I can't remember their names.
Michelle and Luis.
Yeah, Michelle and Luis, because we keep calling them Team Miami, so I don't think of their names. When Luis said dance break, and they both started doing the flamenco. That was so funny with him dancing and her. But they've been doing well. They come out number 1 again. I think they've won 3 legs. I think they've won the most out of anybody this season.
Correct.
So it's exciting. I picked possibly another winner. Not going to hold my breath yet, but they keep coming out on top and doing well. And the task that they pick, it's just, they're good with it.
The thing with them is, I always say, the best teams are complementary teams. If you have 2 teams that are exactly the same, it's going to be hard. But if you have one, like I said, it's, if you have one, the best thing you can have is a super skinny person and a ripped tank. Like if basically the team that would win the Amazing Race would be like Michelle with Marcus. You know what I mean? Like just because one's huge and one's really fit and athletic.
We've had this debate before, not necessarily because look at Holderness. They were both super skinny. They were fit, they were athletic, but one wasn't bulk and buff or anything like that. That isn't part of it. But I think more of the compliment is someone that's willing to do heights versus someone that's able to lift things. You don't have to be bulky, but you're able to move things around, I guess.
Yeah, and they said he's the one who figured out the thing that they were doing wrong with the dress up thing. It's crazy that he picked that up. Right. And like I said, I guess kind of what I'm saying is D'Angelo and whatever his name was, D'Angelo and Gary.
Gary, yeah.
He was super artsy, and D'Angelo's obviously professional. They're both professional athletes, but it was, for me, I think it's having that. I guess having a diverse skill set, regardless of who has it, or if they both have it or whatever. Because even with Holderness, Penn was just able to hyperfocus.
He had super ADHD, hyperfocus.
He was able to hyperfocus, and like I said, so that was a unique skill that not a lot of other teams had. If something that he needed to get done, it was like a pitcher on the mound when the crowd's going crazy. You don't even know if the crowd's there. You're just playing catch.
I mean,
you
you
know?
need someone analytical and someone that's willing or able to, travel quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say you need someone that's super skinny and someone super buff, because people that are like real muscular,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they can run endurance.
All right, or like I said, or they just show muscles that don't actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think the good thing is, like I said, they have this. One's a firefighter, one's a dancer.
Yeah.
And they very complement each other very well. They communicate very well, which is good.
Yeah.
And one's weakness is the other one's strength. The other one's strength is the other weakness. And I think that
Right.
really, I mean, that's what you really want on the race.
Oh, and they just work well together. You need someone that you're able to work well with and not argue with or anything like that. And I mean, they were in Spain too, and they both speak Spanish. I mean, Aubrey and David do too, but that worked out so well for them to be able to talk to the people in the country.
Oh, no doubt. And I said the biggest thing is, if you have attention to detail and you communicate well, those are still going to be the big ones. The two biggest things you're going to need. Just, communicate well. Have they argued once? I don't think so.
I think very little.
Yeah.
I think
If
there
at
is
all.
some frustration, but I
Yeah.
don't think they've ever yelled at each other.
Yeah, for sure. And they're very, they communicate well. They have good attention to detail. And like I said, they have good, unique skill sets, which, they can, if there's not going to be one task that they're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're really, really struggling at as a team, because one of them will be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if one's just kind of standing there watching during a team task, the one will know how to do it. And that's a really good, really good skill set to have. Really good team to be able to do that. So, What do you think?
I think it was good. Mega leg.
Yeah, you know who would have sucked the meg leg, Jessica?
Noel.
Yeah.
No leg.
No
She
LEG.
still has not made any jokes.
Very little.
Different show, but yes.
Sweet. Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
So I'm definitely excited to see. There's only 2 more episodes left. It'll be episode 11 next week, episode 12, and then Christmas time almost.
I mean, it's going to be Christmas mixed in. We got lots of movies to get through, sir.
Yeah, it's the 29th is the next episode, and then there's the 6th. Maybe one more Meg Leg in there. I really don't know, but
About it. Unless it's a Mega Leg final episode. Usually it's a 2 hour anyways.
no, it's usually only one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, unless they do 2 hour Mega Leg.
Oh no! You know why? You're right though. You know why? Because they're gonna do. Because I was thinking they should have one more week of it, but no, they're gonna do one more leg this next week.
Yep.
And then the 6th or 5th, whatever it is, and that'll be the finale.
Yeah.
And then the week after will be the 3 hours Survivor finale. And then they're usually, I said they're usually done on the 15th or 14th, but they can't have the Amazing Race going into that week because that week's all Survivor.
Yeah, they need to cut this out and get out of December. December's my month. These shows need to end before Christmas, way more.
Like 3 weeks before, 4 weeks before, a month before.
It should not even enter in December. I'm sorry. I have more important things to watch.
On that note,
Elf and National Lampoons and Christmas Vacation, the same thing, and Christmas Story is what I meant to say. All the things.
yeah,
And about 20 more.
yeah.
And Emma Otter's Jug Band Christmas for anybody out there that's seen it and knows what I'm talking about.
So on that note, Jessica's Christmas movie review will be coming soon.
I've already watched 2 today, so.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yep.
Well, on that note, be sure to subscribe if you don't miss anything. You can look at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Payment Productions. You can email the show directly, paymentroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. And we'll be back here soon with I'll be back with the Survivor episode, and then next week for the Amazing Race and Survivor episodes back to back again. Anything else to add, Jessica?
I don't think so.
Excellent. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the show. Thank you for commenting, having a lot more comments lately, which I appreciate. And share the post with anybody you know who likes the show. And other than that, I think that's it, right?
I think so.
Subscribe, YouTube, like, Facebook, email, paymentproduction@gmail.com. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Till next time, safe travels.